I have a question.
Yes.
If love is a state of being inside oneself, then is it even possible or true to give love to someone else?
I can't understand why that's not possible. I mean, the ability to give love to someone else depends upon your openness. Is your heart open? Is the love unconditional? Can you give? Can you give unconditionally? And can you receive love from another human being unconditionally? This is very human. This is what we all strive for on the earth, to be able to relate to other human beings this way. This is working out karma. We come here to learn how to do that. And I can't understand why that's not possible. I do understand why it's not possible, because people are so tight inside, they're so structured inside, they're so afraid to take a chance, to trust somebody else, that in that labyrinth of distrust, there's a lack of love. But once we can trust ourselves, once we have a connection with spirit, once that becomes our source of energy, and we consciously evolve inside ourselves, the heart will open, and we have to give. We're born here, we live here in a world where we interact with other human beings, and love is an essential ingredient to finally freeing ourselves, becoming happy people living in the world. Now, this is not easy, because when there are a number of people involved in this, they almost both have to be open. Their hearts have to be open. Because usually when it's emotional and sexual and all that, that has a period where it just dies, comes to an end. When the heart is really open and it's unconditional respect and loving of another human being or other people, it doesn't die. And it's not conditional on anything but our ability to truly, be with other human beings and love them for exactly who they are and what they are, not for what we want them to be. That's a major step in the working out of one's karma. And just being capable of giving it and receiving it unconditionally. When I sit here and work with all of you, I have no conditions. It doesn't matter if I like people, I don't like people. You understand? That's irrelevant to the fact that in these classes, there has to be unconditional love. Otherwise, they don't work. And I think life is that way. Getting strong enough to be able to see the seed of God in another human being, no matter how crazy they are and how they act. There's something inside them that is connected to higher energy. And most criminals, most people that act in a negative way, it's just in a very sick and strange way, they're just reaching out for love. They want to be loved. So I think that it's a very important ingredient to be able to love unconditionally. And it's a major step in the working out of one's karma and really getting free of all that illusion and samsara, and that strange merry-go-round that goes round and round and never stops. The only way you can get off it is you got to learn how to love. And I'll just end this with, learning how to love is not some intellectual quotient that we arrive at. It's not it's evolving in ourselves to where we are truly strong enough and open enough to do it. It reaches a point where a human being steps across the line and they are capable of loving. But that takes deep and, inner growth, an incredible development of a chakra system that gives one that kind of growth that they can love. They're not afraid to love. And I would say that's one of the greatest fears, I mean, we're all raised by, I wouldn't say everybody, but most people are raised in fairly dysfunctional families, where the parents, the grandparents, there isn't that unconditional love. There's conditional love. You are my child, you have to love me, that kind of thing, but not unconditional. And the dysfunction, winds up going inside other people, and they in turn grow up dysfunctional. We have to learn to get strong enough to get that dysfunction out of us and to recognize that even our parents' problems are not our problems. We have to be strong enough to love them anyway. And that's a major step. So growing up in a dysfunctional family is not an excuse. It's just a reason to get really strong so that one can truly love people unconditionally. And it's a hard thing to accept because we're very rebellious inside about the things that have happened to us. We got to get over it. And how do you get over it? You don't get over it, well, I'm over it. No, it doesn't work that way. You get over it by building an inner life that is strong enough that you can step across that line. You can truly detach yourself from all the things that have happened to you in your life. And you can connect with God, Spirit. Does anyone else have a question? Look, it took me years to learn this. This is not something I just came up with yesterday. It took, I can't tell you how many years of working on myself just to arrive to where I can talk about this the way I talk about it. So I don't expect people to, my teacher Rudy always talked about the tortoise and the hare, And the tortoise wins the race because they persistently and one-pointedly want to get to the goal. And they don't allow anything to bother them. They just, step by step, they get there. Does anyone else have a question?
Hi, Stuart.
Yes,
It's such a great topic, and I appreciate the question. And so on the heels of that, could you talk about unconditional love for ourselves when we judge ourselves and then we're not being that?
Look, that's where it starts. My daughter was here yesterday. We had a wonderful morning breakfast and listening. And I told her, I said, you'll never be able to live with somebody else until you can truly live with yourself. There'll always be problems. So it starts there. We have to finally arrive at a place where we accept ourselves, we love ourselves, we are worthy of having happy and wonderful lives. That's where it starts. It doesn't start with loving somebody else. It starts with learning how to love oneself, learning how to accept the fact that each and every one of us are born here to be happy people. We're not born here to be miserably dysfunctional, neurotic, being driven crazy by our minds and our emotions and sexual energy. We're born here to be happy people, but we'll never be happy people until we finally accept that. And how do you get to accept that? You got to get strong enough inside yourself to where whatever happens to you, it doesn't offend your ego. It doesn't affect the image you have of who you think you're supposed to be. It's just a reminder, you got to grow. And then you accept this and you say, okay, I'm all right. I can grow. I can grow because of this. I don't have to let this defeat me. I mean, that's basically what it's all about. It starts there. And it doesn't start with an image of who we think we are. And it doesn't start with ego and personality and charisma and all that crap, It starts with a deep humbleness inside that says, I am worthy of truly loving myself unconditionally. It doesn't matter what I did in the past. When I used to teach in prisons, the first thing I would tell people in the class was, whatever happened to you in the past doesn't matter anymore. We will start today and move forward. So I don't care what kind of crime you committed, what you did, doesn't matter. It's the past. You have a chance to change and to grow and to become an amazing person if you will to work in the present and let go of all that stuff. And that not only goes for people that are incarcerated, it goes for all of us, I mean, who here doesn't have a past? Who here doesn't have things that were terrible in their past? But who here doesn't want to be worthy of being a happy person, being loved, getting strong enough to live that way? And it's not based upon other people's opinion of us and what they think we are and they are, I mean, when I lived in Texas, the rumor in Denton, Texas, was that Stuart Perrin had come here as a representative of the mafia, and he was going to take over the town. I really mean this. And all I was teaching people was the stuff I'm teaching now. But that was the rumor. Mr. Ashram, they used to call me, Mr. K.Y. Ashram. And he was there to take over the town. Yeah, we had a big group. It grew exponentially. It grew enormously. But it was full of love. It was full of joy. It was full of caring about other people, caring about oneself. But people look in from the outside and everybody has a freaking opinion. And I had somebody came, I said, look, I don't care. I said, I'm not here to satisfy these schmucks. I'm here to do my inner work, to grow and to get closer to God. And their opinion of me is irrelevant. So what I'm saying is that self-worth is essential. Clearly understanding your reason for being alive. And then not allowing the opinions of the world and all the nonsense that fly, rumors and this, to affect your life. I mean, when I moved back to New York, I used to kid around and say, the greatest joy in my life is that I don't know my neighbor. I used to tell this every day. They can do what they do. I can do what I do. Nobody, as long as they don't trespass on my space and I don't, everybody lives and lets live, And after 9 years of being one of the choice topics of gossip in a town, I finally got tired. I was like, enough. I was happy to be in New York. I didn't know my neighbor. But none of that ever changed my goal, which was to grow and to accept in my life anyone who also wants to grow unconditionally. It didn't matter what their background was, where they came from, had nothing to do with religion, race, economic status. I didn't care. I still don't care. All I care about is, does a person want to grow? Do they want to have a connection with God? Do they want to have a spiritual life? And if they don't, it's all right also. It doesn't mean I can't, have a conversation with them, talk to them, be friends with them.
That was wonderful, Stuart. Thank you.
You're welcome, Paula. Thanks for the question. Does anyone else have a question? Alicia, you don't have a question?
I actually do. But it's a bit of a, I'll try and make it short, but today I opened the garage door, and through opening the door, there was all of these spider eggs, and they weren't ready to be hatched. So the whole family of spiders, I destroyed them, and I saw the mom and dad spider, and I just destroyed their entire,
Well, look,
and
first
I
of
just,
all, this is all in your fantasy. It's in your head. And, manufacturing dreamlike visions like that. It's okay. But I wouldn't get too strung out with this. Spiders have a right to life also. They do things, they catch flies, they they do things also that are important in this room. And what you're talking about is your own, it's like takes place in a dream. It's your own fantasy. And I wouldn't get too involved with that. More importantly, is your heart open? Don't worry about the eggs of a spider. Is your heart opening? Are you growing in your life? Are you becoming more mature in your life? Are you beginning to get to a place where you have your self-worth? And the images of spiders and this and that, it doesn't mean anything. Images.
when you put it like that, you make me you make me laugh. But I think
That you
I've
what?
just been well, when you put it like like that, it made me laugh.
Good. Better to laugh than to worry about
I
spiders.
was, I was feeling very disturbed all day.
Well, I like it better when you're laughing.
Okay.
You're more open. You're more beautiful. It's nice when you're laughing. Does anyone else have a question? Okay. Well, two things. The first one is that I was reminded this morning by Ellie that the 30th of this month is daylight savings time or daylight gaining, I don't know, something like that in Europe and in Israel. And the times will change. I'll send it out the same time here, which I do. It's for 1 o'clock in the afternoon, but It'll either be 5 hours later or 6, I don't know, whatever it is. So please, make yourself aware of this. I think in the United States, the time changes the 6th of November. This is what Ellie told me. I'm not sure about that. I haven't checked. But this is what I was told. So on those dates, the class times are going to be a little bit different. And it's a matter of just checking. And the second thing is that, I posted on my website this whole thing about Tantra. Yesterday it went up there. And I think it's very interesting. It's kind of nicely written, great images. One Tibetan statue, very beautiful statue. And I think it's something that, if you have time, go there, read it, take your 5 minutes, and it might give you insights into a much deeper element in this work that we do. So, I'm going to be doing this every weekend. I have 4 or 5 of them I've already written. So they're going to go up, and they're going to go up as a place where people can go. And to read these things. They're very short, and they're very, some of them really nicely written. And they can educate you into the very nature of this work that I teach and where it can go. Tantra is a very esoteric subject, but it's a subject that intrigues everybody because it has to do with sexual energy. But I'm trying to make it practical and bring it down to earth and show how, Tantra truly does 2 things. It enables us to live here in the world, and it enables us to connect with God and become spiritually enlightened. So anyway, God bless you all, and I'm looking forward to seeing you. There'll be a class on Tuesday. Enjoy your evenings, your afternoon, your morning, wherever you are. And thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, Stuart.
Or
Thank you.
You're welcome.